Gnawing. If I only had one word to describe the pain I am in, that would be it. But the English language is a generous beast, so I am blessed with a whole host of other words to describe my predicament. The pain pulses in rhythm to my heartbeat, pounding into me relentlessly. It's been like this for 2 days now, and I can't even think straight. Just touching the tooth sends a river of agony through my jaw and into the very center of my identity. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and for the briefest of moments, I sometimes feel like it will send me insane. Will I ever be set free? The worst thing is that nothing I do relieves the pain. Painkillers don't touch it, and just breathing through my mouth sends a lancing shiver through my face. I feel hot as well, as if I'm going to pass out, something not helped by the very real fact that I haven't been able to eat. This tooth, this little bastard, has taken my appetite and my soul. Last night all I could do was sit on my bed and bask in my misery. It's amazing how time goes so slowly when the world has turned against you. Seconds refuse to turn into minutes. The hands on the clock seem to tick by at a fraction of their normal speed. My mind dragged through a tunnel of despair as the sun refused to rise. How the hell did humanity cope before modern medicine? There is a worse thing than the pain, though. As ridiculous as it might seem, the prospect of seeing the one person who can fix me puts me in even more dread. Here I am, sitting in the dentist's reception area, not somewhere I would ever want to venture unless I was desperate. And I know what you are going to say. You don't have to admonish me. I'm well aware my constant aversion to getting my teeth checked is probably the reason I now have to seek emergency care. You can call me an idiot if you want, but unless you understand the clawing fear that this place instills in me, then you can go to hell with your opinions. You haven't had my experiences with the men and women of this noble profession. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes now, and my eyes keep getting drawn to the clock on the wall. It's as if it has been put there just to taunt me, a reminder that there is no real warning of when the dentist will see me. That's all part of the torture they like to instill. Oh, I know dentistry is all modern and pain-free now, but who are they really trying to kid? It's a horrific thing to have done, especially for someone with my memories. Just walking into the building today triggered the horrors I experienced as a child. The time of the gas, the day I had the tooth ripped from my head by someone who didn't seem to care, the nausea afterwards and the blood pooling in my fragile and defiled mouth. I think it's also the smell, connecting me back to something primal. It's a mixture of disinfectant, tainted by a strange burning aroma that I can't quite place, topped off by the nauseating body odor of the man seated next to me. Why did you choose this day not to bathe? How hard can it be to just put on some deodorant, you disgusting creature? I think I'm going to be sick. This is more than I can take. To add to my woes, the reception area is packed, this dentist either extremely popular or the only one willing to see those lacking in funds. It's probably the latter. This practice was the only one that could see me without the need to take out a small mortgage. That might have something to do with why I've not really experienced the best level of customer service so far, but I'm too exhausted to really care. It would have just been nice if the receptionist had smiled at me when I had forced myself through the front door. Alas, there are no smiles from that woman, although I suspect she would be very adept at sneering. I want to ask how long the dentist is going to be, but I fear the response, dismissive at best, insulting at worst. It's like I am personally causing the dragon behind the reception desk physical pain by my being here. I don't like confrontation, so I sit here knowing that I am at their mercy. You need to understand we will be squeezing you in between regular patients. This will be very inconvenient for the dentist. Those were the words that were relayed to me when I phoned in desperation this morning. Not having a dentist I attend regularly, I had to play telephone tennis, trying to find a practice that could somehow see me. All the while I was swallowed up by my agony. "Did you not try the emergency service?" I was asked. No, because I didn't even know there was an emergency service. That just received a sigh of disapproval. I wasn't seeking pity, but perhaps an ounce of understanding might have been nice. I resist the urge to stand up and walk out. The force of it is strong, pulling at me. In that so far unseen room of torture, there will be someone with a host of instruments that can cause pain. Look, all right, I know I'm in agony, but no matter how bad it is, my catastrophizing brain keeps infecting my thoughts with the terrible images of what the dentist might do to my mouth. Logically, I know this is the best place for me to be. Just one injection would provide virtually instant relief. But this isn't a time for logical thought. Instead, my mind is filled with an irresistible masochism, crippling me with its own rebellion. For a reason unbeknown to me, my tongue snakes over to the tooth in question and pushes against it. I muffle the cry of purgatory that results. Why did I do that? Why has my whole being suddenly turned against me? At this instance, life is unbearable. It is simply a misery that I am forced to endure. The voice on the radio breaks in through the barriers the pain has thrown up, but I barely register what has been said about the chaos in some parts of the world. I care not what is happening in another country, never mind my own. My focus is solely on the nerves and fibers of my dentition that are assaulting the bastion of my sanity. Will I never be set free? I shift in my chair, my buttocks struggling with the cheap plastic seat I'm forced to sit on. The air is cold as well, as if the heating has been deliberately switched off. I'm not sure the receptionist has noticed. She clearly warms herself with the heat she devours from her victims. There is an obvious heartlessness in that woman. Of all the jobs her personality might have been suited for, why on earth did she think working in healthcare was right for her? Perhaps her choice was deliberate, to do what she could to suck as much hope out of as many people as possible. I beg to anything or anyone listening that her sadism isn't shared by the dentist. How did I allow myself to get into this mess? I suddenly feel that I might have discovered the essence of true evil. Throb, throb, throb. Please, someone, save me from this. I need something, anything, to occupy my mind. I've already rejected the magazines from 20 years ago. They likely harbor a strain of deadly bacteria not seen since the Neolithic period, each page encrusted with the fetid and contagious oil of 1,000 fingers. I would browse my phone, but for some reason I can't get a decent signal here. So my vision wanders, trying to latch onto anything that doesn't involve eye contact. The radio is playing music now, a song that seems to match the pulsing of my pain. In the corner of the room the wallpaper is peeling, and there are water stains on the panels in the ceiling. Maybe it would be better to just keep my eyes closed. The word dilapidated is adequate for this practice. It's like something out of the 1970s. Christ, this place even has a fish tank. I'm not going to be the one to tell them one of the fish is bobbing lifeless on the surface. No doubt the receptionist would somehow find a way to add that onto my list of crimes. I must get out of here. I need to be free. A familiar face appears, the person who had previously been seated opposite me in reception. She doesn't look happy as she saunters over to reception, but she is alive, which is more than any of us can ask for. As she reaches the reception desk, I try and tune out what she is complaining about, my mind latching onto the radio that is playing in the background. I don't manage it, but it's good to know I'm not the only one concerned about the price. That's the other issue I have with being here. I know I really can't afford it. Although this practice works under the free Heath system, I'm apparently not eligible for that. Despite the fact there's no money in my bank account and I struggle to pay my heating bill, the government says I earn too much. One wonders why I pay my taxes. So, not only am I about to be brutally mutilated, but I will also be forced to pay for it. By the end of this, I might be as mad as the world I live in. Mr. Jones? The words wash over me, and it takes me a second to realize that my name has been spoken. I look around at the other victims, noticing a snarl of disapproval from one fellow patient. He purposefully looks at his watch and shakes his head in disgust. Clearly I'm holding his appointment back. Does he not realize how desperate I am? Or does he just not care? Are his precious minutes of more importance than the fire trying to consume my mandible? You can't blame me for the dentist running late. I don't even want to be here. My tooth suddenly realizes its fun may be about to end, and it renews the onslaught with fresh vigor. In that moment, I don't think I have ever experienced anything so painful. Here, I mumble weakly. I stand, awkwardly clutching the clipboard the receptionist had previously thrust at me. To preserve the remnants of my mental health, I try to ignore the glances cast my way in case I see anything that resembles pity or alarm. All the time I battle with a cloud of dizziness that is threatening to swallow me whole. I resist it, managing to stay on my feet as I pass closer to the moment of truth. I should have tried to eat something before coming here, but I just couldn't face it. All I could do was spoon some sugar into my mouth. Oh, the irony. There is a dental nurse at the other end of reception. For some reason, despite it being nearly winter, her skin has an impressive tan. She's smiling, making me feel like I'm actually welcome. For a moment my heart is filled with hope, and I stagger over to her, navigating the tiny maze of chairs that fills the space I am in. Legs begrudgingly move out of my way, and I'm there, within touching distance. It would be melodramatic to say she looks like an angel, but you get the idea. I have no knowledge of how to act in this situation. If there are social norms that relate to accepting dental treatment, they are a mystery to me. The dentist is ready for you now. The nurse has a name badge on her chest. It says Sharon, and I glance at it, trying not to move my head as that just makes the pain worse. Also, I am suddenly struck with a fresh fear. What if she thinks I am looking at her breasts? Why do I do this to myself? I really am not handling this well. If I am guilty of some infraction, she doesn't seem to mind. Instead, she leads me around a corner and down a short corridor towards a well-lit room. I briefly notice one of the ceiling light bulbs is out. How can I trust an establishment that can't even replace a blown light bulb? In contrast to the rest of the building, the surgery is modern and white, a dental chair smack bang in the middle. That odor fills the air, though, and I struggle not to gag. I consider taking my coat off, but I would have no idea what to do with it if I did. Besides, with my coat on, it will be easier for me to bolt from here should I need to. I am getting closer to the moment of no return. I think I might be sweating, and I wipe the palms of my hands on my trousers. I'm beginning to think I should have just put up with the pain, although that is a ridiculous notion. This agony consumes me. Any hope gifted to me by Sharon evaporates. The dentist is a man, and I can only see the back of him. The bastard isn't even looking at me. He's on the phone, talking agitatedly to someone who is obviously deemed to be more important than me. Something about flights being cancelled. "Have a seat, please," Sharon says. She smiles again as if to prove she isn't in league with the demon dentist. I know she is, though. They are a team designed to trick me into surrendering to their deviousness. What vile implements are kept in those pristine drawers? The dentist mentions something about a country being under quarantine. His head turns briefly, his eyes catching mine to at least acknowledge my presence. A hand blankets the phone, and he briefly deems me worthy of communication. I sit down as ordered, my back now to the dentist. He sounds angry with the person on the phone. That doesn't bode well for me. I hear the phone settling back down into its cradle. I resist turning around in my seat, the faux leather warm beneath me. Someone had been sitting in this exact same spot recently. I see no evidence of blood. If these two are well versed in their serial killer ways, they know how to hide the evidence. Sorry about that, the dentist says. He comes around so that I can see him and plonks himself in a chair. Our eyes are on the same level, indicating that we are somehow equal. We are not, for I have no knowledge of what he will be shortly doing to me. This man, that some would call savior, has the advantage that I would prefer not to gift him. There is another issue. The dentist looks too young to be doing the job. Have they put me with a trainee? Does he even know what he's doing? I want him to concentrate on the now and release me from both my fear and my grinding neuralgia. I want to scream at him. Do you prefer Clive or Mr. Jones? Clive, I mutter. I'm Steve, and this is Sharon. Well, isn't that just wonderful? Now we are all friends ready and eager for the pending slaughter in my mouth. Why don't you tell me what's up? He's too casual, I suddenly decide. It makes no sense to me that he isn't what I imagined. My memory tells me the dentist should be a stiff, humorless type, quick to irritate, with the morals of a Victorian surgeon. This guy is actually coming across as if he genuinely wants to help. I feel out of place, unsure of my own reality. What would happen to my understanding of the world if he doesn't actually hurt me? Is that even a possibility? I tell my story. I foolishly point inside my mouth, realizing too late that Steve clearly knows where my teeth are kept. My hand falls back into my lap, the tempo of the pulsing increasing as my heart decides it's time to try and beat its way through my ribcage. He asks me more questions. I answer. Steve nods reassuringly and glances down at the clipboard I have given him. The paper on there says Medical History Questionnaire. Some of the questions on there were a bit too personal, but I answered them anyway. He seems happy with my answers, which provides a reassurance that I won't die in his chair. Such an inconvenience for him would be terrible, I feel. Please, I just want this over with before my nerve finally fails me. More questions. Oh, God. I've got to tell him it's been niggling on and off for months. He's either going to give me a bollocking or I'm going to look like a complete idiot. When I answer, the expected ridicule doesn't arrive. Steve simply moves on to the next question. I hide my surprise well. Then I reveal it's been 6 years since I've seen a dentist. Okay, Steve says. There's no derision detectable, just acceptance, as if I'd just told him the time. If anything, he seems quite happy with my answers. The chair starts to move and I'm forced to lie back. He's going to touch it, I know he is. I can feel the chair moving now, tipping back. At least lying down I'm unlikely to faint, which is something I've admirably been battling with since I woke up this morning. Really, I shouldn't have driven here, but taxis are expensive, and everyone else I know with a car has to work. That's where I should be now, my boss reluctantly gracing me with time off to fix my dental emergency. He's the kind of boss you never want to work for, but some of us really don't have any choice in the matter. It's really hard to describe how uncomfortable it feels to lie down in front of complete strangers. A bib suddenly appears around my neck and Sharon hands me some safety goggles. What the hell are they planning to do that requires such precautions? My mouth creeps open, his fingers exploring my vulnerable orifice. The mirror is cold, and it snakes around in search of trouble. I'm suddenly alarmed that my tongue will play truant again, but it stays put at the bottom of my mouth. I would be mortified if I suddenly started licking Steve's fingers. I imagine he wouldn't be too impressed either. I do my best to breathe through my nose. Surely this makes me the perfect patient. I don't think anything untoward when the nurse coughs into her mask.